Anashti Sul Origins server VQ2. I have not done a VOD before. Previously, I've just done straight up streaming, but I'm going to give it a shot this time, I think. I'm not 100% sure if this is, if it's going to work or not, but if so, good. If not, oh well, I'll try again next time. Not a big deal. I have been doing some updates to my page. I don't know if anyone has noticed, but it's coming along. So far, I went and put a new background banner, I believe, on. I took a screenshot earlier today while I was in Stormhold, and I don't know if it's better or worse than the one I had previously. I really still feel like Lava Storm might be the better background to go with ultimately. That being said, at least it's a little bit different and you have something to look at that you didn't have to look at before. Previously, I had the Kino Claymore background, which was the same as what I have in the profile picture, except the profile picture is obviously a smaller portion of that scene. So, it's not, it's not as differentiated as it could be, but it's not as bad as it was. I think is what I'm going to do with that. Anyway, let me know if you like it or if you don't like it. Maybe I can make some more changes to it. Like I said, I would like to go probably to Lava Storm and maybe get some of that volcanic activity and stuff in the background of the image. Anyway, we'll see if that ends up happening or not. Obviously, I'm not really of a level to be hanging out in Lava Storm, but I can get around decently over there, I think. In the meanwhile, I'm gonna see if I can knock out another writ. I'm actually fairly low, I think, on trade skill vitality down to 27%. So I don't know that I want to spend too long doing crafting, but I may spend a little bit of time doing it. I think that maybe my game volume is still too loud over my voice, but I'm gonna see if I can make that a little bit better here. Going into the options while that crafts, and let's see, what if I turned down I wonder if I turned down the volume of the game in general, maybe somewhere in that range. Maybe it would be easier to hear me and also hear the sounds of the game. I'm not sure. We'll do a little bit of testing back and forth on that as time goes on. It feels okay for the moment, though. I wanted to get on here and at least finish up one of these work orders. And I think, like I said, I think that'll probably finish off my vitality crafting, which of course doesn't mean I can't continue to craft, but it will be much slower on leveling the crafter up if I continue doing it when I don't have any essentially double XP on crafting. The vitality thing is a pretty cool concept. Pros and cons to it, because one of the things that they wanted to do was to get people to not just focus on one thing. I don't know if I agree that that's a good idea. I think that some people really enjoy just focusing on adventuring, and some people really enjoy just focusing on crafting. And you're kind of rewarded if that's not what you're doing, with the vitality concept, because it drains fairly quickly, and it regenerates over time. So if you don't play for a few days and you come back, then both of your vitalities will be full again. I don't know, it kind of almost discourages people from playing regularly in a way, because if they play while they have vitality, they're essentially getting double XP. If they play while they don't have vitality, they're not getting that XP bonus, which is cutting in half what they would otherwise be getting. It's not intended as a punishment, but I feel like in some ways it comes off as a punishment. So, denying you a benefit if you play more often. Now, if you're only playing a couple of, say, like an hour or two a day, and then you say you do adventuring one day, and the next day you do crafting, that will give each of them a little bit of time to regenerate. But if you're playing more often, or if you're focusing on one or the other, then you're not going to have vitality on one thing or another. So I don't know how I feel about it. It's been around a long time, obviously. Uh, Nothing new there. But pros and cons. At any rate, mine is close to gone, so I will probably go out adventuring after I finish this writ. Maybe not immediately, because I may have to take a break and have some dinner. We shall see. As things stand, though, that's kind of the plan. However, that being said, this writ will take a little bit of time to do, because it's not a rush order. I have picked it up from the crafting instance in Willow Wood, and then I ran up with some fuel to our guild house, which again is in Willow Wood, and we have the crafting table and various depots set up so that we can craft in the house without filling our bags up too much. As you can see, all I brought with me for the crafting was the fuels here. I went ahead and I had actually purchased 5 stacks of coal when I last purchased some from the fuel merchant, so that I could come and do this crafting up here. Already down to only 277 coal left, I see, out of the 500 I had initially purchased for the job. But that's okay. It's what I got it for. I was commenting earlier that it's 1 gold and 44 silver per stack of fuel, and considering that we're making T3 items, I think that's really reasonable. It's I know that's a lot for some people on this server, but I feel like, you know, if you were to try to buy these items off the broker, they would cost significantly more than what you're paying for each one of them. So that also means, of course, that you can sell these items for significantly more than you're paying to make them. Granted, you're using the materials and all that you spent your, you know, your time, I should say, harvesting or buying off the broker. But even so, you come out ahead by a long shot. And of course, in this case, I'm getting XP for the guild, status points for myself, and you get a return every time that you finish making a set of these things. So you'll see that that'll pop up every time I finish one of these sections of the rush order, or no, work order. In fact, something to note is that you get a decent amount of XP as you're doing the writ. So it's not just the amount that you get paid at the end. You get paid along the way, and you also get XP along the way as you are crafting the items necessary for your work order. I want to say rush order. I keep thinking that because I typically do rush orders, and the only reason I'm not is because I'm zoning from the crafting instance to Willowwood, and then I have to go, and go to the door and type in the name of the person who owns this house, and then zone in again to the house. And so I just don't want that any added pressure of getting a rush order done in time, especially while I'm talking to you guys. I don't want to be struggling in any way to try to finish it in time. I don't know that it would be an issue, but it could be. Actually, one thing I'm going to do after I finish this combine, if I can remember to, is I'm going to switch into my crafting gear because right now you see I'm in my adventuring gear. I did talk a bit about armor sets earlier. I don't know if you guys were here for it, but I'll say it again. Armor sets were introduced well after the this time period in the history of EQ2, but they were brought over from live when this server was put together. So we do have this screen here. Um, when you're on your page, your normal character window, it'll look like this, and you see that there's a tab over here that says sets. That is referring to armor sets, and you can make them in any way that you want to. Anything that you have in your bags, you can put on, and you can make that into a saved armor set. So the example that I gave earlier is, say you're in Lava Storm and you want to have some heat resistance. Well, then if you have some armor that is heat resistant, in other words, if it has protection against elemental damage, then you could make a set that has elemental damage resistance, and then you could save that by clicking this button right here, create new set, and you would say, let's see, we'll just say elemental, right? And then you would click create set, which I'm not going to do right now because I don't currently have on an elemental set, but you could. And if you click create set, then it would look just like these here. Adventuring and crafting is what I have for this character. At this time, the only crafting piece that I have is an artisan's tunic. Now you might say, it would be just as easy to go and click artisan's tunic as it would to come over here and put on your crafting gear. But first of all, there's going to be more crafting gear added as the set, or as the game matures, and so eventually you will have more than just one piece of crafting gear theoretically. In fact, I think, I don't know, it may be a while, but it may not be very long before we have a little bit more crafting gear than just the Artisan's Tunic. The Artisan's Tunic only gives +1 to all of your crafting skills, but that +1 does add up on this server, especially at the lower levels, but always really, it makes things go a little smoother and a little more quickly. So I do recommend that you get the Artisan's Tunic, which you can do by completing the level, I guess it's probably a level 1 crafting quest available to you when you start crafting, and you talk to the man there. I cannot think of exactly who you would talk to, but you'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. It's in my completed journal. Let's see where we might find it. Probably trade skill. So it's just seeking a trade skill profession. And I want to say that it's the guy outside of the crafting instance, but it may actually be the guy like just inside the crafting instance who begins this quest line. As you can see, it goes up to Seeking a Profession 8. And those quests will level you very quickly up to around level 10. And when you hit level 9, you can go and talk to your trade skill professional guy and choose your crafting class, and that's going to level you up to level 10. So once you hit 9, stop crafting and go get your level before you continue. And you'll do the same thing at level 19. And the guy you need to talk to, as I recall, is in Kinos Harbor for that part of it. But definitely at level 9 and again at level 19, go find the person that you will choose your class and then your subclass from. And that's going to save you a little bit of trouble. All right, now back to this crafting armor set stuff that I was trying to tell you about. When you are ready to go do crafting, you can just come to this screen right here and you click on the set you want, which in this case is crafting. Click equip, and there it does it for you. Anything that you had on at the time that you equipped last is going to go back on you the last time that you saved your armor set. If you want to make changes, you can, and then you'll just save it again. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy, and when you want to switch back to adventuring, you just click it, you equip, and there it goes. Now, I noticed that I ended up switching boots when I went to adventuring, and that's because I still had some old stuff in my inventory that I've taken off for adventuring and haven't yet gotten rid of, and it was saved in my crafting set last time I saved. So as things stand, it still has those old pieces in my crafting set, but that doesn't actually matter, so not a big deal. Now, I'm going to stick on my crafting gear and try to finish this rid up. Okay, where were we? Ah, yes, corner 1 of 2. There we go. Yeah. Now, I think my understanding is that Fadeware is coming out in a couple of months. And when Echoes of Fadeware is released, I believe that that's also when the Senior Crafting questline comes out. If so, that's going to be a quest that you can pick up every 10 levels of crafting, or every 10 crafting levels. There will be 1 quest per tier available. And it's not particularly difficult. And at the end of each of those quests, you're going to get to choose 1 advanced book from the tier. So if you've been looking for instance, Advanced Jeweler Volume 28, which is the one that has all of the palladium jewelry in it, then you may have had a little trouble finding it, and you'll see that it's probably a little more expensive on the broker. That's because, first of all, it makes excellent jewelry. Second of all, it also makes the item that you need in order to do a strange black rock. You're going to need a palladium. I think it's a palladium bangle that you're going to need. And one way to get that is to have a jeweler make you a palladium bangle or buy it on the broker. But it can be expensive to do that. So, the book itself tends to be worth more than the other books of that tier. Again, that's going to be a couple of months from now, so, if you already have a higher level jeweler, I wouldn't say wait around for it necessarily, get it if you can. But if you can't, then you might want to make that your choice for your Tier 3 Senior Crafter quest line, which will be in North Kinos at the Ironforge Exchange there. So, that's just a little heads up, and I believe that I'm correct about that being Echoes of Fadeware. Could be wrong, but I think I'm right. I don't really look forward to Echoes of Fadeward in a lot of ways because I remember when it first came out and I went there and everyone was so excited and they said, "Oh, it's so beautiful," and this and that. And I, first of all, am not very visually stimulated. And so I didn't really care about the looks of the place, but what I did care about was that I was running around and I kept falling off of things and dying. That will not happen with this character because this character is a swashbuckler. But it was a bit of a disappointment uh, to go dead all the time and no real no real benefits otherwise. So it could have been better for me. But regardless, there were good things about it as well as bad. There's a new heritage quest that'll be introduced with that, which is I think it's called In Honor and Truth, something like that. Very simple. I think it's a level 15 heritage quest. Um, and it's it's a little bit lengthy if you're of the appropriate level on this server because it just it takes you into the zone there that I cannot think of the name of. Crushbone Keep maybe is the name of it. And so you end up going in there for that quest line and having to kill some things that are kind of tough for a level 15 on this server because of the way that is on live. It's nothing that's simple and it doesn't even take very long. But on this one, definitely is going to be a little more difficult and take a little bit longer. But that's normal for a heritage quest. It's to be expected. There will also be, of course, the new collections that'll come out with that. And quite a lot of new low-level quests. And I think that's really going to help with this slump that people are hitting, where they're having a lot of trouble leveling. Doing quests is a great way to level. I had seen them talking about that earlier in chat, people saying that it's very difficult to level. I mean, my suggestion, if you're solo, is to definitely do the quests that you're able to do, because those really, they really give you a lot of XP comparatively, especially if you are having trouble killing things, and maybe you can do some running around quests and get some gear that helps you out a little bit there too. So I would recommend picking those up if you're having any fun. Somehow your quest journal isn't full. Mine seems to constantly be full. Right now I have room for 2 quests. That's actually, for me, a good amount of room. And typically I'm running at, 1 quest available or none at all. Alright, I was actually I'm going to show you guys the amounts that you get as you're crafting, but I failed to. So we're using 7 dull black coal to make this impede. And so when we get finished with this set, which there's 2 of them, so that'll be 14 dull black coal total, then you'll see how much you get back. Keeping in mind that each stack that I bought was 1 gold and 44 silver. That means that each individual piece of coal was 1 silver and 44 copper. So keep that in your head. And you'll kind of see that you get a good amount of your investment back just from your rewards piece by piece. I guess I'll try to hurry this one along a little bit instead of just letting it languish. if you guys have any questions, you're welcome to ask them. I am more than happy to give you my opinion, which may or may not have anything to do with what would be correct, um, or what would be considered correct. But at least I'll give you an answer. My brother also plays this game, and I'm going to try to see if he will do a little streaming, or at least kind of be a guest on this stream at some point, maybe, because he is very involved with the lore of the game. So he typically can tell you the background story of what's going on, or why something is the way it is. He tends to get very immersed in anything he does in a historical fashion. And I think that you may enjoy hearing him talk on that. I am less into the lore. I do enjoy reading the books. When you have a book quest, often there will be really interesting stories in them, but it's not as important for me as it is for some people to know all of the details and memorize all of the different gods and what they do and who they're a patron of or whatever like that. But some of it is important to some degree because you kind of know what you're going to be looking at if you see that something is related to Bertoxlis, for instance. You might go, oh, well, that may be a little sketchy. We could be dealing with something dangerous here. It may not be what it appears. If you aren't aware of at least a little bit of the lore, you may get a bit of a surprise with some of the quest lines, particularly. Also, I am playing from a table in the back of my son's comics and cards shop. So, if you hear people coming in and out and various strange sounds, that would be one. It can certainly be entertaining. I'm going to try to see if I can learn how to do like an intro screen and an ending screen, and maybe even more importantly, an AFK screen at some point soon. Because I feel like if I say I have to go and get a drink or something like that, it feels like I don't want to just leave it sitting here without any indication of what's going on, because if somebody were to jump onto the stream and they just see someone standing there not doing anything and no sound, that's not very exciting for them. So I don't really want to run off in the middle of a stream really for anything like that without something indicating on the screen that I'm not here right now, and I'll be right back in a second, But for now, we're just going to have to deal with what we have in many ways. I've mentioned before that I'm currently playing on a tiny little laptop that doesn't even have like a numlock key or any like to access the function keys. You have to press the function button, and then and then press the button that you want to do. So it makes it a little bit more complicated to hit F8 in the middle of combat when you want to select your nearest target, or F1, F2. Well, you wouldn't mostly want to be hitting F1 right now to select yourself, but you could be. Oh, by the way, in case you don't know, on this server, if you have potions in your bags, you can use those potions by clicking the detriment on underneath your name. So if you have a trauma and you see that underneath your name, instead of having to have the potions on your hotbar and use them that way, or try to use them from your bags in the middle of combat, you can actually just click the detriment that you want to clear, and it'll use the potion from your bag. So, fortunately, that is something that's available on this server. Okay, now this time I'm going to stop and show you. All right, so in spite of the fact that this is not the final reward, this is a reward for one portion of what it told me to do. So this is for two things. And as I mentioned, each of the coals that I bought cost 1 silver and 44 gold. Took a total of 14 of those to make this. So, the fact that we're getting 11 silver and 8 copper back from this two combines, from that 14 coal we used, that just by itself is a decent percentage of our expenditure on the fuel for this for these two particular items. That's not all the money that we're going to get from this. So um, we're going to go run down, and then you'll see what we get as the final reward for that whole work order. I'm mostly mentioning this because I see a lot of people saying things about how expensive it is to level a crafter. If you look at it, actually not that expensive. If you're doing the work orders, you can't start them until level 15, but when you do start them, you get a little bit back. You see that this gives 47 silver and 86 copper. So as long as you have successfully made pristines of all of the items that were required of you, then you're going to gain a small amount of silver for doing one of these work orders. Plus you get the status points, plus you get the XP. So it's just an all-around good thing to do. It does not have to be expensive to level a crafter. All right, I am going to pick up this work order, and then I'm going to have a bit of a break because I need to get some dinner together. So I will be back later on this evening, and I'll chat with you then. Have fun EverQuesting.